Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
The official start of spring is still a week away, but San Diego's weather right now is feeling more like summer. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Carroll in for Maya Trabulsi. Some record-breaking temperatures may be on the way. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer looks at how locals are adapting to this March heat wave.
At Ocean Beach, San Diegans lounge on the sand in bathing suits and surf in the waves.
I love it. This is exactly what I came down here for, and to get to have days like this in the middle of winter, I think that's why we all live here.
This isn't July or August. This is mid-March in San Diego, and locals like surfer Håkan Hoyer Nilsson are making the most of the unseasonably hot weather. He used to live in Northern California, where he says it's much colder at this time of year. He plans to manage this unexpected heat wave in the ocean.
Probably get in the water as much as I can, get to the beach. I think that's what everyone else will be doing, but I'll join them.
We could be talking about all-time high temperatures.
Alex Tardy is a local meteorologist with Weather Echo.
It's not just a daily record, but an all-time high temperature from the desert to the coast for the month of March. If these temperatures pan out, especially next week when we're in the peak of the heat wave.
He says normally San Diego's high temperatures in March are in the upper 60s and low 70s.
This particular heat wave, not only is it going to be hot, but it's going to be producing temperatures that are 20 to 25 degrees, maybe even 30 degrees above those averages.
Tardy says he expects the heat wave to last for about a week across much of the western U.S. He says serious heat this early in the year can have ripple effects down the road, including premature snowmelt tied to water supplies.
That premature snowmelt is difficult to capture, and we could lose some of it to the soil, we could lose it to evaporation, and it may not all go into the reservoirs where we need it. So that means less water into our water supply, and these hot temperatures are stressful to a vegetation, so we could be looking at an early fire season.
Tardy says the safest place to be if you're going to be active during the heat wave is the beach, where it's cooler. Long term, he says El Niño warming ocean conditions and dry ground could lead to warm temperatures across much of the West this summer. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
Well, the heat continues, so enjoy the cooler weather at night here. Our heat advisories will be ending at 8 p.m. We are dealing with overnight lows around 49 Oceanside, Escondido, Ramona, 58 though into San Diego. It is warm out there, and in the short term, we do still have heat advisories in effect until 8 p.m. this evening. There will be a lot more heat to come, though. We'll talk about what's on the other side of this through the weekend and into next week. Try to sniff out maybe a little relief. Nothing promising. Details ahead.
A pair of attacks hundreds of miles apart is rattling communities. A deadly shooting in Virginia is being investigated as terrorism. Meanwhile, an explosive-filled vehicle rammed into a synagogue in Michigan. Lee Waldman has the latest on these separate attacks.
As snow falls on Temple Israel in West Bloomfield Township, Michigan, officials are sending a clear message.
This is not a political moment. This is not a political debate. This is targeting babies who are Jewish. That's anti-Semitism at its absolute worst.
The Department of Homeland Security identified the suspect as 41-year-old Ayman Mohammed Ghazali, who was born in Lebanon and became a U.S. citizen in 2016. Officials say he drove his vehicle filled with explosives into the synagogue with a rifle. Ghazali died at the scene. At the time, more than 100 children aged 5 and younger were attending school at the synagogue, according to Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
We must lower the rhetoric in this state and in this country. especially at this moment where we've seen such a rise in anti-Semitism and more attacks on the Jewish community.
At least 30 law enforcement officers were taken to the hospital for smoke inhalation, authorities said, and a security guard who helped stop the attack was hit by the suspect's vehicle and is expected to be okay. Meanwhile, in Virginia, authorities say 2 Old Dominion University students were hurt and 1 person was killed when a former Virginia National Guardsman and convicted ISIS supporter began shooting on campus.
The brave ROTC members in that room subdued him. And if not for them, I'm not sure, what else he may have done.
The gunman, who was identified by the FBI as 36-year-old Mohammed Baylor Jallo, was killed at the scene. Lee Waldman, KPBS News.
A candidate with ties to a Southern California data center developer is running for a seat on the board of the Imperial Valley's Water and Power Agency. KPBS reporter Corey Suzuki says the company is seeking to build a massive $10 billion data center complex in the region.
The candidate is Carlos Duran. He's identified himself as a community information representative for the developer, Imperial Valley Computer Manufacturing. Duran is running for the board of directors for the Imperial Irrigation District, or IID. That's the valley's powerful water and energy utility. The developer needs IID to supply energy for its data center project. So far, IID hasn't agreed to do that.
What makes this a little bit unusual is that usually this is like an established business that's already operating in the jurisdiction.
Brian Adams is a political science professor at San Diego State University. He says it's common for companies to insert themselves into local elections, but that's usually to protect a business that's already operating.
Here you have a business that isn't yet operating in that jurisdiction, right? Because the data center hasn't been built yet, right? It's just being proposed. So that's a bit unusual.
The developer has said in court filings that it stands to make billions renting out the data center to a major AI company. The developer has accused IID in court filings of trying to sabotage their project and prioritizing a competitor. IID has denied some of the allegations against the agency. IID is one of the most influential government bodies in the Imperial Valley. The agency oversees the generations-old claims of Imperial Valley farmers to water from the Colorado River. It also delivers electricity to more than 160,000 customers throughout the Imperial and Coachella Valleys. The election is scheduled for June 2nd. Corey Suzuki, KPBS News.
If you have a tip for the KPBS investigations team, you can send an email to investigations@kpbs.org or message them on our secure signal line at the number on your screen, 619-594-8177. San Diego leaders are considering new safety rules for young e-bike riders. KPBS health reporter Heidi DeMarco says it comes as injuries on these fast bikes continue to rise.
As electric bikes have become more common across San Diego County, so have serious crashes involving riders younger than 18. That's according to a recent study from Rady Children's Hospital. Researchers found in 2017, e-bikes made up less than 2% of serious crashes involving riders treated at the hospital. By 2023, that number jumped to nearly 40%. Dr. Justin Asun treats e-bike injuries at Rady Children's Hospital. He says in 2021,
we had 3 trauma activations related to e-bike accidents. Fast forward to the end of 2025, and the number of e-bike trauma activations was 262.
A trauma activation means a child arrives with injuries serious enough to bring in an entire emergency team. But he says not every child injured on an e-bike meets the criteria.
So if you look at actually all the numbers of the patients who presented with a varying severity of e-bike accidents, that number exceeds 1,000 patients this last year through 2025, and we expect that number to go up.
Asun says injuries can vary widely.
Minor scrapes to life-threatening injuries, life-threatening head injuries, severe brain injuries.
He says the injuries are often linked to the speed of electric bikes.
And so we're putting kids on modalities, bikes that travel 20, 28 miles an hour. Now kids are modifying these bikes. Those bikes are now going 45, 50 miles an hour.
This week, the City Council's Public Safety Committee approved Councilmember Raul Campillo's proposal to ban children under 12 from riding e-bikes. The proposed regulations follow a new state law that allows cities to set their own e-bike safety rules. But Asun says awareness is also important, especially when it comes to protective gear.
There are different classifications of helmets. One that's out for e-bikes is the NTA 8776, and it's designed to protect against higher impact collisions and protect the brain.
The city's proposal also calls for safety training for young riders.
We don't really put a teenager in a car without having them go through driving school, permitting, certain number of hours with a supervisor.
The full San Diego City Council is expected to vote on the proposed e-bike regulations in the coming months. Heidi DeMarco, KPBS News.
Riverside County has a new tool to help law enforcement end car pursuits more safely. Joy Benedict shows us how the Grappler works.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh my goodness!
They are scenes that can last for hours on freeways and side streets, dangerous chases. But what if those in pursuit could just reach out and grab it? That's exactly what the Riverside County Sheriff's Office is doing with a new device called a Grappler.
I made contact with that driver's side tire with the net.
Corporal Brian Conroy is with the K-9 unit. He carries a deputy dog in the back and a Grappler on the front.
You guys are clear to go.
We rode along as they were training with the tool.
Probably the most effective tool for law enforcement for this that I've seen.
He's only had it a couple of months, but has already deployed it 10 times.
Do a lot of murder suspects, a lot of armed violent felons who are fugitives from other states.
He says before the Grappler, it was pit maneuvers and vehicle collision takedowns, but this is safer.
It's super effective in stopping pursuits, keeping the public safe, and being able to disable the suspect vehicle with minimal risk to ourselves and to other people like on the roads.
When he deploys the Grappler, the arms extend lower. Then he catches one of the wheels on the net.
I'll pull it back up and we're going to do it again.
Lieutenant Jason Santasteven is in charge of the Special Operations Bureau. He says they started the pilot program last year and were so successful, they're now installing them on all K-9 cars.
What we realized is we needed to come up with a better way of stopping pursuits as well as preventing pursuits.
He says although the device can be used for stopping chases, they find them most effective in stopping known violent offenders.
Before we even put lights and sirens on and we know the person in the vehicle is wanted, we'll deploy the Grappler. This year alone, we've been up to 7 grapples. Out of that 7, 4 of those suspects were wanted for murder. In all those cases, we grappled the vehicle and the suspect gave up.
He says the damage to both vehicles is minimal, and so is the impact.
All these overlapping tether on the stitching is breaking free, slowing you down slowly.
And although we were only traveling 35 miles an hour for training,
you guys are clear to go. Don't forget lights and sirens.
It's been deployed using speeds in excess of 100 miles an hour with success.
And it wasn't very, jarring.
No, this is fairly low speed. The fastest one we've done is 104 miles an hour.
Right now, there are 165 different law enforcement agencies across 34 states that are using the Grappler, but the Riverside County Sheriff's Office was the first here in California. Meaning if you try to run, you may be surprised when your wheels stop and you're caught in a web weaved by the long arm of the law.
School districts throughout California are revisiting their cell phone policies after the state passed a law requiring districts to limit students' phone use. KPBS education reporter Katie Anastas says the Coronado Unified School District is taking a close look at its middle school rules.
Coronado Unified's district-wide phone policy was last updated in May 2025. It allows students to use phones during non-instructional time and in emergencies. District leaders are considering tighter restrictions, especially at the middle school.
We need to find a better solution for the middle school students.
Coronado Middle School Principal Brooke Falar spoke to the school board on Thursday. She says her school has tried a few different ways to enforce the current policy. One required students to keep phones off and in their backpacks.
Unfortunately, that is too tempting for middle schoolers and was not successful.
They've also tried putting cell phones in pouches during class time. That helped, but students still had access to their phones at break and lunch.
That has turned into a lot of students on their phones, not just some maybe texting mom. I kind of envisioned, oh, I'm going to text mom, right? It's not just texting mom. It's social media. It is breaking rules such as no videoing, no being on social media. Those are things that we're not able to control.
Board members said they're interested in setting different rules for elementary, middle, and high school. At the middle school, the district could use lockable pouches for the entire school day. They would cost more than $25,000. At a parent forum last month, Superintendent Carl Mueller said it could help, quote, level the playing field among students.
We know that there are families in our community who have made the decision to not purchase their child a smartphone until a certain age. We know that there are families who have purchased devices for their child but have very tight restrictions on those devices, and then families who allow their child unlimited access to those devices.
He also cited studies that say phone bans lead to better attendance and experts who say it makes emergency operations safer. Mueller says middle school could be a good place to try out the pouches. He says they could add them to the high school later if needed.
If we feel that the efforts of the administration at Coronado High School and the staff at Coronado High School are falling short of expectations and that these devices are coming back out, we can always expand up and expand down.
District administrators plan to bring a full policy proposal to the board next month. Mueller says the goal is to have something in place at the start of next school year. Katie Anastas, KPBS News.
From navigating breakups to dealing with rejection, more people are turning to artificial intelligence to help them with tough talks. Researchers call it social offloading and warn those instant replies could have long-term effects. Maribel Gonzalez explains what parents need to know.
From seeking advice on relationships to completing the most mundane of tasks.
What should I eat? What should I wear?
Researchers like Pat Patrana-Taporn, who studies human and AI interaction at MIT's Media Lab, say they're seeing more people turn to AI for answers.
And a lot of people say that they think that because AI doesn't judge them in a way that another human being might do so.
But this habit could be stunting emotional growth, especially among younger users, says Dr. Michael Robb, head of research at the nonprofit Common Sense Media.
Adolescence is when young people are supposed to be learning the kind of uncomfortable, nuanced skills of human relationships. And that's things like, how to navigate a disagreement. It's how to read other people's perspectives, things like managing rejection.
And oftentimes, he says, AI is designed to be agreeable and may not always be accurate.
They tell users what they want to hear rather than challenging them to grow. So if you're a teenager, this is like kind of a false feedback loop because a real relationship is going to involve friction and compromise.
And while AI can be helpful,
AI should be the bridge, not the replacement of human relationship.
Experts recommend parents and educators communicate with their teens about responsible use.
You want to create a safe space so that AI is not the only place that they feel comfortable talking.
I'm Maribel Gonzalez reporting.
Housing is the #1 expense for most San Diegans. #2 is transportation. That's according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. In our latest installment of Price of San Diego, KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen looks into why transportation is so expensive here and how some are finding ways to save.
Monica De La Cruz rides the bus almost every day, but when she moved back to San Diego in 2017, she figured she needed to buy a car. She settled on a black 2012 Honda Civic.
I only had the car for maybe 6 months. I just started making payments on it, and then just as we moved back to San Diego, actually, I got in a crash. The car was totaled.
Suddenly, what had been an expense costing hundreds of dollars a month turned into a pretty big check.
Money was tight at that time. I had this decision where I got the full value of the car from my insurance, but We had just moved to North Park. I had just accepted a job actually that week in Balboa Park. Our new apartment was maybe a mile from my new office. And so I just thought, let's see how long we can make this work.
De La Cruz put the insurance money into savings, bought a bike off Craigslist, and decided to become car-free. That was 8.5 years ago, and she has no regrets. She still shares a car with her husband, Alex Gerlach. But since they both got remote jobs in 2022, neither spends much time behind the wheel. Gerlach says it helps living in a walkable neighborhood with decent access to public transit.
The benefit or the biggest change that I see is just spending more time either at home or near home instead of feeling like, oh, I can go anywhere at any time because I can drive there. And now there's just a lot more thought in, is it worth driving there? Is there an alternative method like going to North Park, Hillcrest, and like any places within 5 miles? I don't really want to drive there. And now we don't most of the time.
And in terms of dollars and cents, being a one-car household has helped them feel more financially secure.
Knowing that you have a cushion, yeah, you can go out a little bit more often, or know that a little higher expense here and there is not really going to hurt your bottom line.
Car payments, maintenance, insurance, and gas take up almost a fifth of the average household budget in San Diego. The most recent consumer spending survey from the Bureau of Labor Statistics found San Diego has the third highest transportation cost burden in the country.
Household auto debt has been going up for the past several decades. It's been rising dramatically.
Nicholas Klein is a professor of city and regional planning at Cornell. He says cars can definitely increase a household's earnings potential, but they come with hidden costs. As households take out longer-term auto loans, more of their money is going toward interest rather than paying off the vehicle. And the cost of repairs can hit you like a truck.
We can expect they will happen. And maybe we can cross our fingers and hope the transmission doesn't break and cost us $2,000 or whatever to repair. But it probably will at some point, but we don't know when. And for households who don't have a ton of money, that can be very difficult and challenging.
Klein says San Diego's high transportation costs are likely because people here own more cars than their peers in other cities and drive longer distances. Building a city with lower transportation costs, he says, requires investing in alternatives to car ownership, like biking and public transit.
And that takes a long time, right? To rebuild our landscapes, to rebuild our built environment, our cities and neighborhoods is not a quick fix. But sort of setting that in place and being able to sort of begin investing in that can have long-term benefits for people's budgets, for the city's budgets, for public health, for transportation outcomes.
Monica De La Cruz now lives in Golden Hill, right on a bus line and within walking distance to the trolley.
I have an e-bike as well as a traditional bike. Alex has an e-bike as well. These are our car replacers.
Living car-free has gotten a lot easier in recent years and doesn't really feel like a sacrifice to her. As much as it's helped her finances, she says one of the greatest benefits of riding the bus is feeling more connected to her community.
I love how often, there'll be a parent with a young child, and I get to see like a baby, and there'll be other passengers on the bus that try to make them laugh, and it's just really nice to see. And it's just like a spontaneous thing that you don't really expect in your commute as you're going to do errands and going to the grocery store, but it just feels way more like you're part of a community, and these little interactions all make it feel worth living here, and that I am a part of San Diego so much more so than when I was alone stuck in a car.
Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
You can find that story and others in our Price of San Diego series on our website. Visit kpbs.org/Price of San Diego.
We are locked into a very warm weather pattern. The heat is on out there, endless warmth, record-challenging highs will be with us into next week. Not in all areas, but in many. So places like Ramona have been up into record territory. That'll continue. Storm track is staying far to the north. All the rain and snow way up into areas around Washington State, even most of Oregon drying back out now. Heat advisory is going to be ending at 8 p.m., and we're going to get a little relief tonight. down to 58 degrees, partly cloudy skies, but it's going to stay very warm, big picture. So here comes a cold front, but you'll notice, I'm going to show you the Sunday graphic in a moment, that's going to bypass us well to the east, so we stay very warm, if not hot. Here we are on Saturday. 73 in San Diego, not as steamy as it was. A little relief along the coastline, but on mid-March standards, we're still running very warm. Escondido, Ramona, El Cajon in the low 80s. 92 in Borrego Springs. It's going to get hotter than that, though, in the deserts into next week. So now look at what the front has done. On Sunday, it races across the Great Basin in the Four Corners region, kind of trimming the heat out of Utah, out of New Mexico. So they're getting relief. We're not. It bypasses us to the east. So all of California, very warm, if not hot, and dry. So Sunday, we're looking at some record challenging highs, probably breaking a record in Ramona. Record high for March 15th is 86 from 11 years ago. We'll be around 88, 2 degrees above that. Our friends up in, well, places like Phoenix to our east, they'll probably break a record high as well. And most likely breaking a record in Sacramento, California. Right through next week, we're locked in. And really, even the latter part of the month looks pretty relentless with the heat. So as we look at the coastal forecast, a little bit of relief this weekend, back to the low 70s come Sunday, but we warm back up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to the upper 70s along the coast. Inland areas, we're going to see, again, the heat begin to return, building again Monday, Tuesday, especially 91 there on Tuesday, one of the hottest days. Into the mountains we go. Here we're looking at highs, again, upper 50s, low to mid 60s most days, but we warm up a bit, and the most dramatic warm-up is going to happen around midweek next week. You're going to be dealing with highs in the 90s in the deserts, but the biggest heat will be felt in the deserts on Wednesday. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Jeff Cornish for KPBS News.
You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks, everybody, so much for joining us. I'm John Carroll. Have an excellent evening and a wonderful weekend.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following: and by viewers like you. Thank you.